Welcome to FinOps in Action. I'm your host, Alon Arvatz. Each week, I'll sit down with FinOps experts to explore the toughest challenges between FinOps and engineering. This show is brought to you by Point 5, empowering teams to optimize cloud costs with deep detection and remediation tools that drive action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to FinOps in Action. Today, we actually have a FinOps celebrity with us. So she was chosen as one of the faces of Carlsberg in 2019. She's a public speaker and spoke at events like Sams Nordic, Gartner, and Microsoft's. She was featured on the Wall Street Journal as well. I'm happy to welcome Senior Manager of FinOps and Cloud Hosting Services at Carlsberg, Sonal Gupta. Sonal, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great, and thank you, Alan, for inviting me into this wonderful podcast. I cannot chit chat. I cannot wait to chit chat with you. Have a conversation around FinOps, and we will definitely touch base on some of my personal stuff. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
I cannot wait as well. And not every day you get to speak to a FinOps celebrity. So I'm really happy we got the chance. And Sonal, please share with us, what do you believe should be the FinOps leaders' top priority?
So I think cost savings definitely is one of their topmost priority because all FinOps practitioners they have a golden rule to save costs, to control the cost, and to provide as much as visibility as they can to the stakeholders, to the business, and they also ensure that they get maximum value out of the business. So that's always been their topmost priority. But along with that, nowadays it's like more focusing on processes and standardizing different things, tooling, and make sure that they have a proper structure, utilizing all the best practices, all the new things that is currently ongoing in the market in the technology field. And along with that, they also focus a lot on the collaboration and communication with the leaders, because that's also one of the key in practicing FinOps. So I think those things have always been the topmost priority for FinOps practitioners.
That's great. And you mentioned a few things here. I want to break it down one by one. You start with the golden rule is cost savings. But you also mentioned that today people are talking more or like dealing more with processes and communication. Do you feel that like processes and communication can distract you from focusing on cost savings?
I really don't think so, because when I'm saying processes, I'm not saying processes on different technology, but processes around FinOps. How you make FinOps better, how you make FinOps improve, how you make sure that you are following all the key domains and the principles that kind of tells you how you can engage with your stakeholders more and more in order to practice your FinOps in an efficient way, right? So when I say processes, I'm talking about standardizing, VM deployment process, for example, in a typical IaaS kind of environment where, you are deploying VMs, more than 10 or 12 or 20 VMs, depending on the requirement every day. But if you do not have a proper process, imagine the situation where you don't know what SKU type will be better for the application when you have to deploy certain services to run your application. It's very, very important that you gather the requirement, and then based on different best practices and your experience, you then suggest different things to the stakeholders and the engineering teams, right? So that actually also helps you to control costs from the very beginning if you're involved. Nowadays, we are talking a lot about shifting left, which means that, FinOps is heavily engaged in the early stage of the product life cycle. And that has been, a talk of the hour for every organization, because they are now seeing the value of FinOps. And so, by just shifting our processes, best practices, whatever, tools you are using, you are actually contributing indirectly to the cost savings, if not directly. So ultimately, the goal is to control your spend, and make sure that you are in the budget and you are achieving maximum business value. And you can do that by just, having proper control on your processes and make sure you are standardizing it from time to time.
I would actually love to double down on shifting left. I think this is something that we haven't talked a lot about on the podcast, and it's obviously a major and very important topic. What is shifting left for us, and what do you do to shift things left?
So shifting left. So nowadays, or back in those days, FinOps, we enter into the process when the things are already running in the cloud, right? And then we are asked to control. We are asked to provide different data and do different kind of analysis to control that spend. If we are over provision, if we are in the over provision side, or things are just running idle in the environment, then we are called to kind of be a police there and to make sure that everything is under control. So that's the typical way of doing FinOps. But what's new is shifting that focus to the extreme left, which means that you are engaged when you are actually planning for some project or some product or application or whatever. So then you make sure that things are already in place and you are adopting all the best practices. You are adopting the good framework, and it's like well architected from the day when you are planning the things, right? So it's not like when things are already running in cloud. That's where mostly nowadays FinOps practitioners are facing challenges, because if they are recommending something really, like in terms of changing the architecture, that becomes a problem, because engineering teams or business, they actually they think as a huge task, as a massive task, and then they kind of are very reluctant to do that change to re-architect their application, because this also involves a lot of downtime, and services going into off mode, or and things like that. So it becomes very cumbersome for them to kind of then work on those changes. So imagine if we have already considered those changes in the very beginning, things will run even more smoothly in the cloud. So that's what I think as a next step, we FinOps practitioners are pushing to the organization, that we should be involved in the overall architecture stages, or architecture life cycle of a product.
Well, I have so many questions. So let's take it one by one. First of all, do you think that the fact that now you're part of the architecture process requires from you or your team to become more technical? So you will be able to have these conversations with the architects?
Not really, because I think in the organization, in any mature organization where you have a proper enterprise architecture function, they understand that we FinOps people, we are not like them. We are not architects. We are not engineers. We are just their partners who are helping them in strategizing their product, right? Who are helping them in the planning, in the overall testing, in the overall quality environment and things like that, to make sure that whatever they are deploying in the cloud or in the data center going forward, or any SaaS product that they are going to use, is or will give them some value. And will make sure that it will give you some good ROI, and not just blindly deploying anything in the cloud. It should make sense to them. So they understand the fact that we are not coming from the technical background, but we have deep dive knowledge of how things should work in cloud when it comes to spend, when it comes to the usage, when it comes to the overall utilization of the services and resources.
And Sonal, do you expect that in the near future, we won't have to monitor our environment to identify waste and inefficiencies, and we'll just be able to prevent everything to begin with?
No, because FinOps is like a continuous practice. It's not just one time thing. It is a continuous process, right? And and it's a feedback loop, right? So when in the early stage of the product, when you make sure that okay, your FinOps is fully applied, and this product will be cost efficient, plus giving you what it should give in terms of business value. But then at the stage when this product is already running in the environment, then you have to review it again, and then you have to do proper monitoring, proper checks from time to time to make sure if yeah, because the cloud technology is growing, and then for example, you are running on version 3 machine, but now it's already version 4, version 5, which is much more effective and much more, cheaper. Then, of course, there is a need to kind of move from version 3 to version 5. And that is something that FinOps team will be able to provide with the data and with the transparency, with all the, knowledge that they have. So I think it's not just a one time thing. Okay, in the planning stage, you are applying FinOps and then you just kind of forget it. No, that should not be the case.
You know that very often when I talk to people that are not doing FinOps about FinOps and cost optimization, they ask me, "Hey, is that an ongoing thing? Shouldn't it be just like a one time? You optimize your environment and that's it. We're done." I wonder if this is a question you get also from leadership of, "Hey, do we have a continuous value we're getting here, or your management is already on board? They understand the ongoing value of FinOps."
No, so in my organization, for example, they understand the value of continuous FinOps, because at some point of time in their previous roles, they actually they got some experience around how FinOps work, and what should be the role of FinOps. So I had that edge in my company, at least. So I did not face all those challenges where continuous pushback is coming from the leadership. It was always a support. And they do understand the value of FinOps, and that's why I've been given a chance to lead FinOps from last, I think, 5 years, and now I have to expand my team. Even I have all the support from them to make sure that this is being applied properly and this is not forgotten by anyone in the environment. So yeah,
I guess that's the best sign that you have leadership support when they give you more resources to hire more people.
yeah.
Okay, that's great. And Sonal, you work in a European company. I know that in Europe, carbon footprint and ESG is very strong. Does that influence your FinOps work as well?
So right now, we are not doing any ESG reporting simply because we do not have any KPIs from the whole like group IIT level. But for sure, this will come, and we are prepared for it. Thanks to Microsoft, thanks to AWS, they have great tools to track your carbon emission. We already did look into that in the past, and we are all ready. If this comes to us anytime, we are all set to provide them the reporting. There is this carbon optimizer dashboard in Azure and then in AWS as well, that kind of give you the overview of your overall carbon emission together with the recommendations. So you just don't get the understanding of how much carbon emission you are doing per month or whatever, but you are also getting the recommendation how you can reduce your carbon footprint. So that's a great way to start your ESG reporting. So yeah, it's just that we do not have any official KPIs yet.
Okay. And I understand that Carlsberg not necessarily publish these reports, but do you share this data internally? Maybe, for example, to motivate engineers to take action or for other purposes?
Right now, no. But Carlsberg tracks sustainability on a very high level, like on the business level. You might have heard on LinkedIn or have seen on LinkedIn that we have this strategy, or we have this objective of zero water waste. We have a plan of like paper bottles instead of cans. And then all of our breweries are smart breweries. We have, good processes around sustainability. We are contributing a lot there. Like I said, it's on the group level and not to the functional level yet.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that's very, very cool. And it's great to know that people are prepared for this reporting because I'm sure it will definitely come in the future.
Yeah.
Yes. And Sonali, you talked in the beginning about the engagement with engineers and how to work with them when you come more from the financial side as a business partner and they come from the technical side. And I wonder how you build trust with engineers where you know that they definitely have a better knowledge than you in the technology side.
Yeah. So our goal is or should be to understand their point of view as well, and not just pushing them to save money all the time, because there might be some constraints that they have, in terms of application, different applications, different behavior of the applications. Some applications are latency sensitive, some applications are critical for the business, some are not, but they still need powerful VMs to run those applications, simply because they might have some critical batch job that runs once in a month, but you still need high capacity of VM. And there is no solid reason for them to downsize the VM to save costs. So I think from that perspective, all FinOps practitioners need to understand their mindset as well, right? And not always push them to save money. That's one. And the another one is like talking the same language. And showing them the valuable data in order for them to take some decisions. If you do not give them the meaningful data, they won't be able to decide what they actually want to do, because they have some requirements from their end that I need my application to be running on M series VM, for example, SQ type, which is way too expensive. But that has to be the reason. And engineering teams need to justify that to the FinOps team, but then FinOps team also need to understand from their point of view is what I think what will make, or what, at least in my experience, that has made my life a lot easier, because we often talk with each other in the same language, same keyword. So yeah.
And I'm sure that for engineers, FinOps or cost optimization is not always the most fun or the most prioritized thing. They would definitely prefer to develop new features, and they would definitely be more concerned about very big security risks than cost. Do you do anything proactively to get the engineers more motivated or to give more priority to FinOps and cost optimization tasks?
I think what I basically focus on is providing them the data. I have some great tools that I use. And what I do is like I prepare like a weekly report or a monthly report that I publish. And I have a lot of, different way of communicating things. For example, we are uh, publishing newsletter every month. We have this Power BI leadership dashboard wherein we actually identify who is doing what and how they are doing it with their different, maturity levels, crawl, walk, and run. So that is some sort of a great way for us to motivate engineers that, this month, for example, you have done XYZ saving and you have these many recommendations to take action on for next month. And when you will take those actions, you can save, let's say, ABC savings, and then total savings would be, let's say, something, right? So if you provide them that kind of transparency and data visibility, I think that will definitely help you push them indirectly and not directly, So just make it more fun, make it more exciting, make it more engaged. I think, that's the key.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something interesting. You mentioned the work with Power BI. Now, Power BI is part of the Microsoft suite. And earlier, you also mentioned that you're using AWS. I'm curious if you make an effort to do consolidated reporting across all of the clouds that you use, or you think it's good enough to do reporting for Azure and reporting to AWS and keep it a lot more simple?
Yeah. So I would say that it was definitely a challenge for the multi-cloud companies, wherein they had two tools to begin with, all those cloud native tools from Azure and AWS, and they were doing separate reportings. So that's um, I would say that was one of the challenge. But now with the help of this Focus, which is an open source tool built by FinOps Foundation, that's a great way to actually deal with that challenge because Focus supports all the cloud platforms, and that gives you a unified billing data or billing overview or understanding. So that's one way to deal with that. But in Carlsberg, this Power BI reporting is just to bring this leadership dashboard into Carlsberg or into Carlsberg FinOps, to make sure we bring some sort of gamification and competition among stakeholders. So only for that we are using Power BI, but for, let's say, consolidated billing data, we are using a third party tool. And that actually syncs with or uses like APIs from these different cloud platforms. So Azure, AWS, these two cloud platforms. And you get the different rule based dimensions on that tool. And based on that, you can actually slice and dice your cost.
Yes. And you also mentioned that you use it for some kind of gamification where each organization or each leader can measure himself. What are APIs that are you trying to expose to them that you want them to measure themselves against?
So, one of the biggest KPI that we have added in our leadership dashboard is, of course, the cost optimization percentage. It's called COP. And then the other one is the budget variance. So, these two are the main KPIs wherein we are tracking the performance of different stakeholders and their functions. Cost optimization percentage is nothing but it's just an understanding of how much you are saving per month, and then the
Mm.
budget is around budget, how you're doing when it comes to your budget. So these two KPIs to start with. But definitely, as we move further in this leadership dashboard maturity, we will bring more KPIs, whatever makes sense to us.
And do you expect engineering to do cost optimization when they're on budget, or you also only expect them to do that when they pass their budget?
I expect them to do cost optimization in every stage, and not just when they see that they are under the budget or over the budget, because there is no point doing that or focusing on the optimization when you have already done something wrong. So if you are, if you understand where sort of where you can optimize your environment with the help of the data, of course, that you get from FinOps. Why not? Why to wait for the report? You can do it immediately, right? So
I agree. I also think it's a matter of culture. So you need to nurture a culture of people understand that they need to be efficient. And even if you're on budget, if you waste money for no good reason, it's money you could have taken invest in something else and grow even faster. So why waste it for no good reason? So I totally agree with this approach, and it's really cool that you have these two metrics that you track in parallel. Now, I saw that you have a very, very diverse background. So now, so you were in the financial services industry for many years. Now you're a drink manufacturer. Do you see a change or a difference in your role between companies in financial services, various Carlsberg, or is the same? FinOps is the same everywhere.
I think FinOps is the same everywhere, but I worked in the one of the top banks of the US and the Switzerland. But in my roles there, I wasn't a part of FinOps. I wasn't doing FinOps because FinOps wasn't even a thing back then. And when I left those banking organization, I then moved to a manufacturing company. And there it was like a very new thing. This cloud transformation was a very new thing because I'm talking about 2017. So FinOps only got introduced in 2021 when the companies are already using cloud heavily and when they realize that they are wasting a lot of money as compared to the traditional infrastructure. So they kind of got aware, okay, FinOps is a thing and they need to do something about it. So since 2021, I've been, this FinOps was officially introduced, but I started doing FinOps in 2019 when I joined Carlsberg. And I was a part of hosting, cloud hosting infrastructure. So then, of course, I was so much familiar with the cloud, Microsoft Azure Cloud. But then I also saw that, there is something that we can do in terms of optimizing the cost, because that was one of um, the burning thing in the organization. Then I took the lead and I started looking into how we optimize things. I formalized a structure, and then we started picking all the low hanging fruits. And that's from there my FinOps journey started. So it's been 6 years now since I'm doing FinOps. And I cannot really tell like what's the difference, but I'm sure that in banking environment, it's much more critical than in the regular manufacturing companies, for sure.
Absolutely. I think every business have its own characteristics and it must influence in some sort of shape or form. Um, do you today deal with AI costs? Is that a challenge for you today?
Until now, I did not see that coming in Carlsberg, but since we are changing our strategy and there are a lot of movement happening currently in Carlsberg, AI is has been also formed in Carlsberg as a new function. So I'm sure a lot of AI stuff will come to us in the future. But for now, we are not dealing with any AI use cases. But yeah, we are all ready. We are prepared, and we are, exploring also as a FinOps practitioner. I think mostly people in who are practicing FinOps these days are also kind of exploring a lot in the AI because it's very, very expensive. It's one of the most expensive service that you deploy in cloud. So we need to have proper understanding around it, how we deploy it efficiently, how we use this, and what kind of use cases we have. So we need to have like proper knowledge about it. But yeah, to answer to your question, that will come in the future as this is a new function that has been formed recently in Casper.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the situation you describes exists in many companies. When they start now testing AI, it's very early. The spend is not high. So from a Finos perspective, it's not high priority, but still, it's coming and it's going to be big. Are there specific examples of things that you do to be prepared for doing Finos for AI?
So we are talking with Microsoft. I think we already had one or two workshop around it, wherein we asked a lot of questions around AI, like questions around reservation, the right GPUs that we use in AI service, and how we control, how we get the visibility of our spend if we use high expensive GPUs, and then there are different kind of low size GPUs as well that we can use for our testing and non-prod AI use cases. So definitely this is something that we have been discussing with Microsoft. But like I said, when things will come, we will be hopefully ready to support them.
This is actually a great tip to leverage your cloud provider. I think sometimes we forget that we pay them millions of dollars and we should ask for support for services and them doing things for us a lot more. So I actually think it's a great tip. Thank you, Sonal. And I actually like to move now to the second part of the podcast. So if until now we learned about FinOps from you, and now it would be great to learn more about you on the personal level. So today you live in Oslo, Norway,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
That's yes. You can tell by the view that it's a Norway area, and by the late hour, still it's light outside. So that's definitely noticeable. And I wanted to ask you, you have such a like rich experience across banks, etc., IT, FinOps. How did you make the transition from like IT to FinOps? How did it happen?
I am pretty much into IT still, but the shift is more like towards strategy, towards collaborating more and more with business. And in my early life, I was never a very technical person. My studies is into management, so I've done PPA and then MBA. And my aim was never get into IT, but do something else. So this is luck by chance that I got into IT. When I joined my first company, that was back in 2007 in Bank of America. I got a role of technical support analyst where I used to, um, um, you know, monitor the banking servers that were like typical Windows kind of servers, and then it was like a level 0, level 1 kind of a role where I was doing some sort of troubleshooting on the servers. I learned it on the job, literally, because I had no experience of the servers or any technical environment. I had zero experience around that, but I learned it everything on the job. So that's where my journey kind of started. But my initial interest was never to continue within the IT. I was like, okay, I will take some experience and then switch my field. But then after 2 years, I was like, no, this is very interesting, and this is where I wanna grow and continue my career. So then from there, I went to Swiss Bank in Singapore. That was my first opportunity outside India, so I was already very very excited. And there, I did the similar kind of role because it was a similar setup, similar bank, more or less. And then I got back to India in 2012 and started with Swiss Bank again. And from there, I went to Poland. I worked in different locations in Swiss Bank. And then from there, there was no looking back because I started loving my job and loving IT and everything. And now I'm like big time passionate about FinOps. I think this is a part of my life now, and I would definitely like to continue with that and with the same speed or even more, or even go like faster and faster, and then contribute in the community and yeah, just enjoy FinOps.
All of us, all of us. And have you ever imagined that you will end up in Norway?
No, actually. um to be honest, being an Asian, I never ever thought about Norway, or I never heard about Norway, so to say. I only read about Norway in my books, but then I never thought that I would land up in Norway and have my beautiful life here. And then I will plan to permanently settle in Norway. Never in my life I thought about that, of course. But then, when we moved from Poland to Norway, we were like, okay, let's go there. It's a nice country, but it's very, very cold. And coming from a tropical country, of course, it was extremely difficult for me to survive in Norway during my initial years. But now I'm like kind of used to. My daughter is born here, and my husband works here. I work here, so it's like kind of an easy life, and we are now used to this kind of lifestyle. Um, doesn't matter. People are boring here, and it's very dull during winters, very gray and very depressing. But I guess you just need to learn how to enjoy those things because this is now part of you. So that's what we did, and I would, yeah, I would never go away from Norway.
Okay, that's great. I can tell you that I moved from Israel to New Jersey, and it's also very, very different weather. Israel is Middle Eastern, very hot weather. Here it's extremely cold, and I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll get used to it. Cool. And so now, any book or movie that you would recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend this book that I've just started reading. It's called Invisible Women. It's a very interesting book. It's one of the best New York seller, and I have been advised by one of my good friend about that book, and actually she gifted me that book because I've been participating quite a lot in empowering women in technology events. And in one of the events, this friend of mine, she came to me and she gave me that book because she thought that I would definitely love it. And I'm really liking the book. I've just started reading it, but definitely, I would highly recommend it already, even though I've not read it completely. But then it's actually very very interesting.
Yeah. When a book is good, you know very quickly that it's good.
Yeah.
Cool. And what do you do for fun?
I enjoy music a lot. I used to actually sing, but not sing
Wow.
as a professional singer. But singing was one of my hobby. I come from a family background where everybody in my family sing
Wow.
uh, together with my father. It's like everybody sing, and we are not like bathroom singers. We are actually singers. Uh, so I think I got it from my mom. Actually, she has done um, her degree in music. So we all brother and sisters we got from her mom, and then I cook almost all the cuisines I've cooked. And my husband is actually a foodie, so I like to cook for him. Um, and then I travel a lot. So I've been already to 40 countries. Um,
Wow.
and I love traveling. And my plan is to cover all the continents in this life. Only Africa is left, so we will definitely plan to visit Africa. But other than that, mostly Europe is covered, US, UK, Asia, and now my next trip is to Japan and South Korea in summer. And yeah, so this is what I love to do in my free time.
Yeah, I've never been to South Korea, but Japan is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And where did you visit in South America?
I've been to, I don't know if Mexico can be called a South American part, but I've been to Mexico. I've been to Puerto Rico. That's for sure South America.
Yes.
But I would definitely love to visit Caribbean islands, all the other Caribbean islands. Yeah, I've been to Hawaii. That's not in South America, but I absolutely loved Hawaii. Like it's one of my favorite tropical place.
Nice. We actually plan to go there this summer.
Oh,
So
nice,
thank you for the recommendation.
nice.
Cool. And so now, if any of our listeners would like to reach out to you and ask questions, what is the best way to reach out? Is it LinkedIn, something else?
Yeah, just connect me on LinkedIn.
Okay. So you heard her. Connect with her on LinkedIn if you have any questions. So now, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, and happy to be here. Thank you.
For sure. And I would like to thank our listeners once again for joining us and listening in. I hope you learned a lot of new stuff, at least as much as I learned. Please share with your friends about the podcast. Sonal, thank you again for joining us. This has been another fascinating, fun episode of FinOps in Action. See you next time. That wraps up another episode of FinOps in Action. Thank you for joining. For show notes and more, please visit finopsinaction.com. This show is brought to you by Point 5, empowering teams to optimize cloud costs with deep detection and remediation tools that drive action.